Let's be brutally honest. The woman who left you isn't scrolling through her phone missing your good morning texts right now. She's sitting in quiet curiosity, waiting to feel something real again. Not a chase, not a plea, not your desperate attempts to prove you're worth staying for. But peace. Because when a woman walks away, it's rarely because of anger. It's because she no longer feels safe in the energy you bring. And no, I don't mean safe from harm. I mean safe from chaos, from emotional noise, from the man who lost control of his own center the moment she pulled away. Most men think the way to win her back is through words, to convince her, to reason, to explain how she misunderstood. But here's the truth that burns. The more you talk, the less she feels. Because a woman doesn't return to words. She returns to energy. She returns to stillness. She returns to the version of you that stopped needing her validation to feel like a man. And that is the moment she begins to notice your absence differently. When you pull back, not in anger, but in quiet self-respect, something changes. You stop trying to fix what she broke inside you, and instead you repair what you abandoned within yourself. That's when her emotions start to confuse her, because she expected begging, she expected apologies, but she didn't expect silence, not the kind that punishes, but the kind that radiates peace. See, peace is powerful. It's unsettling. It makes her question her decision, because when you stop fighting for her attention, you stop feeding her ego and start feeding your masculine core. And every woman, no matter how independent or modern she claims to be, feels that shift in her bones. It's the silent reminder of what true masculinity feels like: grounded, calm, unattached, not cold, not cruel, but deeply secure. You don't convince her to stay. You give her peace to return, because the man who can walk away without resentment holds the kind of power that no charm or words can imitate. You see, emotional detachment isn't about giving up. It's about giving space to yourself, to her, to the energy between you that needs to breathe. That's the paradox of attraction most men never learn. She's not drawn to your need. She's drawn to your independence within love. And the moment you stop trying to convince her, you begin to rewire something deep within her mind. She starts to wonder, why isn't he fighting? Why does he seem lighter without me? Was I the one who brought the chaos? And that's when curiosity replaces certainty. That's when your absence becomes louder than any argument. You can't logic a woman back into love. You can only become the kind of man she regrets walking away from. And that begins when you stop trying to change her feelings and start mastering your own. Because peace isn't weakness, it's a mirror. It reflects her choices, her behavior, and her loss with a calm she can't manipulate. So when she tests you, and she will, when she tries to poke your peace, question your silence, or provoke a reaction, don't give her what she expects. Give her composure. Because every time you respond from control instead of chaos, she feels the gravity of your transformation. The modern world tells men to chase harder, to prove worth, to stay emotionally available even when she's already halfway gone. But real strength lies in the ability to stay centered when she withdraws her affection. Because the truth is, when you stop convincing her, you stop competing for her approval. And that's when your energy begins to lead again. Remember this. A woman doesn't return to words. She returns to the man whose silence has peace, not pain. The one who didn't lose himself when she walked away. The one who chose stillness over chaos. You're not supposed to prove your worth to her. You're supposed to embody it. That's the difference between a man who gets forgotten and a man she can't stop thinking about. Here's what most men never realize until it's too late. The moment you start convincing her to stay, you stop being the man she fell for. You become a negotiator instead of a leader, and that energy shift kills attraction faster than any mistake you ever made. Because what women are truly drawn to isn't control or charm. It's emotional composure. It's a man who can face uncertainty without collapsing into desperation. When she leaves, it's not the end. It's a test, not of her love, but of your foundation. Will you crumble trying to win her back, or will you let go, not out of defeat, but out of strength? Because letting go isn't about not caring. It's about caring differently. It's about saying, I respect myself enough not to chase someone who's unsure about me. That kind of peace terrifies a woman because it shows her what she can't control. You see, most men make one fatal mistake. They try to re-explain their worth to the very woman who stopped seeing it. They write paragraphs, call repeatedly, post things hoping she'll notice. But here's the bitter truth. The more you try to remind her of your value, the more she forgets it. Because value never begs. It simply exists. It's seen, not sold. When you detach, you shift the power back within. You become unpredictable in the most grounded way. You stop orbiting her mood, her attention, her validation. You return to your own gravity, and suddenly she feels it. That strange emotional pull toward the peace she didn't appreciate when she had it. That's when her mind begins to wander at night. She wonders if you've moved on, if another woman is now experiencing the calm she once rejected. And that thought burns deeper than any words you could have said. Because what truly haunts a woman isn't the man who begs her to come back. It's the man who lets her go with dignity, heals in silence, and glows in peace. It's the man who walks away and doesn't weaponize pain, who turns heartbreak into power, who doesn't chase, because he's too busy evolving. Women subconsciously crave this energy, the unshakable presence of a man who no longer needs their validation. It's the same reason she was first attracted to you, your confidence, your stillness, your mystery. But somewhere along the way, you lost it. You made her your center, and no woman wants to be the entire world of a man. She wants to feel safe in his world, and that safety begins when you know how to stand alone. There's a quiet kind of revenge in self-respect. You don't need to prove you're doing better, you just are. You don't post cryptic quotes, you don't show off your healing journey, you simply live, because your silence is louder than any performance. It tells her, I'm at peace now. I don't need you to understand me, and that peace, it does something powerful to her psychology. It forces her to confront her own emotional noise, because suddenly you're not the predictable man who reacts to every pull and push. You're the one who detached without bitterness. You became rare, and rarity always attracts attention, even from the one who took you for granted. When a woman senses that you've let go without resentment, it scrambles her emotional code. She'll test the waters, a text, a story reply, a casual, how have you been? But don't mistake that for love. It's curiosity. It's her trying to see if she still has power over your peace. And if you respond with too much emotion, she'll retreat again, because she'll sense you're still chasing. But if you respond calmly, with lightness and balance, she'll feel something unexpected: respect. And here's what's ironic. Once she respects you again, attraction begins to rebuild quietly. Not through words, not through logic, but through energy. Because she remembers how it felt when you were grounded. She remembers the way your silence made her heart race. That's the paradox of letting go. It brings her closer, not because you forced it, but because you released control. You don't convince a woman with promises, you convince her with peace. You don't pull her back with desperation, you draw her with detachment. Because peace is power. It's the calm confidence that says, I don't need to be chosen to know my worth. And that's the energy she can't walk away from forever. So stop obsessing over what she thinks. Stop replaying conversations and overanalyzing texts. Every time you do, you surrender your masculine energy to her uncertainty. Instead, redirect that focus inward. Become better not for her, but because you deserve the best version of yourself. That's when your peace becomes unshakable. When a man reclaims his peace, he becomes magnetic. And peace isn't soft, it's strong. It's the kind of strength that doesn't flinch when someone leaves. Because a peaceful man knows something most never learn. Love should never cost you your self-respect. Let go, not to move on faster, but to move forward freer. Because the moment you stop convincing her to stay is the moment she starts wondering if she should return. You know what really makes a woman look back? Not your words, not your apologies, not the desperate, I've changed speeches you rehearsed 100 times in your head. What makes her look back is the silence she didn't expect, the calm she can't shake, the peace she once found in your presence, but didn't value until it was gone. That kind of calm becomes magnetic. It speaks to something deeper inside her, something even she doesn't understand. See, a woman's attraction isn't built in chaos. It's built in contrast. When every other man she's met reacts from emotion, you respond from composure. When they seek attention, you seek clarity. When they chase, you choose peace. And that difference, that quiet, unbothered steadiness, it pulls her in like gravity, because peace to a woman feels safe. And safety is the rarest emotion in modern love. But let's be honest, this kind of peace doesn't come easy. You don't just wake up calm after heartbreak. You have to earn it. You have to sit with your pain instead of numbing it. You have to rebuild your inner world without her presence to validate it. You have to teach your mind that silence doesn't mean rejection. It means recovery. That's the hard part. Retraining your instincts to see distance not as loss, but as freedom. Most men rush into distractions. Another woman, a rebound, fake confidence. But that only hides the wound. It doesn't heal it. True peace is born when you stop running from the silence, when you learn to breathe inside the emptiness instead of filling it. Because the emptiness isn't your enemy. It's your reflection. It's showing you where you lost yourself while trying to keep her. And here's where female psychology becomes brutally honest. When you master that calm, you become unpredictable again. You no longer play by her emotional script. You no longer react when she tests you. No longer explain yourself when she goes cold. No longer break when she withdraws affection. You simply exist, calmly, with quiet strength. And that unnerves her, because deep down, every woman knows. The man who doesn't need her attention is the one who truly commands it. When you find peace, you stop seeking closure. You don't need to know if she regrets it, if she's seeing someone new, or if she still thinks about you. Because peace gives you perspective, and perspective kills obsession. You start to see her not as a goddess who left you, but as a person who made a choice. And you realize, maybe losing her wasn't punishment. Maybe it was redirection. The peace that pulls her back isn't passive. It's powerful. It's active awareness. You're not sitting around waiting, you're building yourself. You're hitting the gym, not to impress her, but to feel alive in your own body again. You're chasing goals, not to prove your worth, but to remember it. You're surrounded by people who pour into your growth instead of draining your energy. That's when your aura changes. That's when your silence becomes louder. And trust me, she'll feel it. She'll sense it before you ever post about it. A woman's intuition picks up shifts in masculine energy before words are ever spoken. She'll scroll past your name and feel a strange tug. She won't understand it. She'll call it curiosity, nostalgia, or closure. But it's none of those. It's recognition. She's recognizing your peace. She's remembering the man who once made her feel grounded and realizing that man no longer waits for her. That's when the tables turn. Because now she's the one replaying old moments. She's the one wondering if she made a mistake. She's the one scrolling through her photos, remembering how calm your presence felt compared to the noise she's surrounded by now. That's when peace becomes your weapon, not through manipulation, but through truth. You see, when you stop reacting, she starts reflecting. When you stop chasing, she starts remembering. When you stop convincing, she starts questioning. And that's the silent beauty of peace. It reverses the emotional current. Suddenly, you're not the one who lost something. She is. But don't misunderstand, your goal isn't to make her regret. Your goal is to evolve beyond the version of yourself that needed her to feel whole. Because once you reach that point, even if she comes back, you won't see her as your savior. You'll see her as a choice. And that changes everything. The truth is, peace is the most attractive thing a man can embody. It's rare, it's steady, it's masculine in its purest form. Not loud, not arrogant, just centered. And when a woman feels that kind of energy, she can't forget it. Because peace makes her feel safe, but mystery makes her feel alive. And the combination of both, that's what keeps her thinking about you long after she's walked away. So if you want to draw her back, don't do it through noise. Do it through stillness. Don't do it by chasing validation. Do it by becoming validation. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself, because it's already earned. Peace doesn't beg. Peace doesn't post. Peace doesn't perform. It simply radiates. And that's what brings her back, not because you forced her hand, but because you reminded her of something deeper than desire. You reminded her what home felt like. And when a woman realizes she walked away from peace, she starts finding her way back. Not because you asked her to, but because your silence told her everything her heart refused to hear. There comes a moment when she feels the silence, not just notices it, feels it. When your absence no longer feels like punishment, but presence. When the calm you built without her starts echoing through her thoughts. That's when it hits her. You're no longer waiting. You're no longer reachable by the same old patterns. And that shift, that quiet rebirth of your peace, it's what changes everything. Because here's the truth, few men ever live long enough in their healing to see. She doesn't come back to the man who begged. She comes back to the man who became untouchable through peace. The man who didn't weaponize silence, but mastered it, who didn't play games, but simply elevated. And when she returns, not physically at first, but energetically, you'll feel it. A message, a like, a late night. How have you been? That's not coincidence. That's gravity. The same energy you once poured into her is now being pulled back toward you, because you finally became what she lost. But now you stand at the crossroads, because when she does reach out, your instinct might whisper, "This is my chance." But the man you've become doesn't chase chances. He chooses peace. And this is where the real test begins, because peace isn't just about silence when she leaves, it's about composure when she returns. Most men fail here. They mistake her curiosity for commitment, her guilt for love, her nostalgia for renewal. But a peaceful man doesn't rush to rebuild what was broken. He observes, he listens. He lets her words reveal if her soul has grown or if she's just missing the comfort of being adored. Because peace doesn't need closure, it is closure. If she comes back, let her meet the new you, the one who no longer needs to be understood, only respected, the one who doesn't chase reassurance because he already found it within. Don't try to rewind the story. Turn the page. If her energy still brings confusion instead of calm, remember, you worked too hard to heal for temporary comfort. Peace taught you patience, self-control, and perspective. Don't trade that for validation. And if she doesn't return, that's when you truly understand the purpose of it all. Because your healing was never about getting her back. It was about getting you back. The man who stopped needing to explain his worth. The man who finally realized that losing her wasn't the ending, it was the awakening. You see, peace changes how you love. You no longer cling. You no longer chase emotions that come wrapped in inconsistency. You stop trying to convince anyone to stay because the right woman doesn't need convincing. She finds comfort in your calm, not chaos in your energy. She chooses you not because you filled her emptiness, but because you respected her space. And that kind of love, born from peace, lasts. So when people ask, how do I make her regret losing me? Tell them you don't. You let peace do what pressure never could. You let silence say what speeches never will. You let absence show her what presence truly meant. Because nothing teaches a woman faster than the contrast between your calm and the noise of everything else she thought she wanted. And maybe someday she'll return. Not to the same man she left, but to the one she never met before. The one who learned to love himself without needing her approval. And if that day comes, you'll look into her eyes and realize you don't want her back for the same reasons you once did. Because peace changed your taste in love. You'll crave depth now, honesty, consistency. You'll crave someone who doesn't threaten your calm, who adds to it. That's the gift of peace. It transforms pain into wisdom, heartbreak into clarity, loss into rebirth. And the moment you embrace that, you'll see what she never could. That walking away wasn't her power move. It was your awakening. So stop chasing closure. Stop chasing control. Start chasing stillness. The kind of stillness that can stand in the middle of uncertainty and still breathe easily. That's when you win. Not against her, but against your old self. Because the real victory isn't her regret. It's your evolution. Peace doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you unshakable. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. You start to realize that not everyone deserves access to your heart just because they once had a key. You understand that boundaries aren't walls, they're doors that only open for peace. And that realization, that's where true freedom begins. So, my message to you is simple. Stop trying to convince her to stay. Start becoming the man who gives peace wherever he goes, and she will feel it, even in your absence. Because the man who carries peace becomes unforgettable. He's the one every woman remembers, even when she pretends she's moved on. Not because he was perfect, but because he was calm, strong, and impossible to replace. Now tell me this, and be honest with yourself. Are you truly ready to stop chasing her and start mastering your peace? Comment your truth below. And if this spoke to you, like this video, subscribe for more, and share it with a brother who needs to hear this tonight. Because peace, that's the power that makes her return, and the strength that makes you never need her to.